Himalaya by Jan Reynolds. To my mother, Anna, and all loving mothers around the world, J.R. I'm actually going to read the story first, and I'll read the introduction at the end. As the moon rises over the Himalayas, the highest mountains on earth, a young Sherpa girl named Yangshi begs her father for a story. She sits in his lap, and warm by the kitchen fire, he begins his tale. Long ago, men like your great-grandfather traveled over the high mountains to our own little village of Namchi Bazaar here in Nepal. They came from the land of Tibet, bringing things like tea and salt with them. They were called traders because that was how they made their living. Back in Tibet, your great-grandfather filled bags with sand and loaded them onto the backs of his strong yaks. Leading his animals, he crossed the high mountains, and when he came to our village, he traded his salt at the big Saturday market for things he needed, just as we will tomorrow. Soon, Yangshi was fast asleep. She dreams of the time when her great-grandfather came from Tibet to Nepal, the home of the Sherpas. Early the next morning, Yangshi wakes to the smell of rice cooking. Her mother is already up, making a rice drink that is popular in the mountains. She will trade what she makes at the market for things the family needs. While Yangshi's father and brother are still sleeping, her mother gives Yangshi a cup of warm, milky tea, or chia, to drink. Outside, the thin mountain air is cold, but Yangshi is snug and warm in her bed, watching her mother. As the sun climbs over the hill, people from all over gather. They will trade the items they've brought with them for the things they need at the Saturday market. The people from the lowlands carry woven bamboo baskets filled with rice and fruit, while the Tibetans come from the highlands with their yaks carrying salt and tea and more. The market is outdoors, where people can open up their baskets of foods, cloth, and gifts for everyone to see. The market is also a place where people can talk with the old friends and make new ones. Yangshi's older sister, Sonam, goes to the market with their mother while Yangshi is still in bed. Sometimes their mother uses Nepali dollars, called rupees, to buy food and clothing. Other times, like today, she barters and trades her homemade rice drink for things the family needs, as well as sweet treats like bananas for Yangshi and Sonam. Some days, Yangshi's father walks the narrow streets of their village to a place called a monastery, where wise men, called monks, live. The wisest monk of all is called a lama. Yangshi's father takes along some rice and some of the drink Yangshi's mother makes. These are special gifts he will give the lama when he asks for a blessing of good fortune for his family. Yangshi and her sister follow their father so they can spin the prayer wheels outside the monastery. They believe each time a wheel spins completely around, they will be blessed with good fortune. Yangshi and her sister especially like the larger prayer wheel inside the monastery because it is painted with bright pictures telling stories of long ago. Outside the monastery are stones with prayers carved on them by the people of the village. While Yangshi and her sister are looking at these prayer stones, they see a woman carrying a heavy load of water buffalo hides. The woman carries the load of hides on her back, using a strap that goes over her head. The Sherpas have carried heavy loads this way for a very long time. The woman is carrying the hides over the mountain all the way to Tibet, where they will be used to make boots. Yangshi and her sister watched the woman go, remembering that Tibet is the land their great-grandfather came from. Yangshi and her sister only stay at the monastery for a short time. Their mother needs them to help with the many daily chores. Together they will pick lettuce from the garden and wash it in the village spring. There are also clothes to be washed. Even little brother helps, although today he makes a mess. The floor of the house must be swept, too, and the wool from their sheep must be carded so it will be ready for their mother to spin into yarn. She will use the yarn to make things like sweaters and mittens for the family. She may barter some of the things she makes at the next Saturday market. After they have finished their chores, Yangshi and her sister like to play on the big rock behind the house. Just like the smaller stones at the monastery, this rock is carved with the prayers of the village people. Yangshi's sister has to help her climb to the top of their special rock. People from other cultures often come to Nepal to climb the high mountains, and they sometimes hire Yangshi's father to help them. His yaks carry their food, tents, and supplies. Yangshi's father has even taken his yaks to the highest peak in the world, Mount Everest, which it has another name, which I'm forgetting right now. Yaks are very important to Yangshi and her village. They carry heavy loads over rough, rocky ground, and they provide food and milk. Yangshi and her sister like to help their father keep watch over the yaks when he takes them to graze in the pasture just outside their village. Sometimes their father lets Yangshi and her sister have a short ride on their favorite yak before they herd the animals home. Some villagers use their yaks to carry crops, like potatoes, from their gardens in Nepal all the way to Tibet. The yaks can easily walk around boulders and follow the rocky trail that leads from the village, up the valley, and through the high mountains. Because the journey between Nepal and Tibet is long and slow, many villagers camp along the rocks to rest along the way. Camp among the rocks to rest along the way. The yaks don't seem to mind the trip. They appear content to follow each other, walking the old trade route. What are they doing here? Oh, I think they're camping out. Like the rest of the village, Yangshi is looking forward to the yearly Himalayan festival called Mani Rimdu. People will come from far away to be part of this exciting event. The monks gather at the monastery to prepare for the celebration. In the courtyard, two monks drop tiny bits of hand-cooked river sand to create beautiful pictures inside a circle. This sand drawing represents the circle of life and is called a mandala. The most beautiful mandala is inside the candlelit monastery. At the end of the festival, the sand will be poured back into the river. By returning the sand, the monks will show that the flow of life always continues. Masked dancers are a fun part of the festival. In brightly colored costumes, the monks act out stories about how to be good, helpful, and caring. Yangshi and her sister love their mountains and are proud to be from the Himalaya. To everyone they meet, they give the traditional Sherpa greeting, Namaste. It means, I salute the life within you. And here is the story of the journey, I think, of the author and his time in the Himalayas. Her time in the Himalayas, sorry. Actually, I'm not positive. That could be Jan or Jan. So it could be a man or a woman. It doesn't really matter. They wrote a beautiful little book. So here is where the Himalaya mountains are in the world, up here north of India, in Asia. Right along the border between Nepal and Tibet, which is in China. That's a story for another day. But this was a series called Vanishing Cultures, and they talk about the Amazon basin, the frozen land, the Down Under, which is Australia, and the Aboriginal people, I'm assuming, far north, the Mongolia, and the Sahara. And of course, this was about Himalaya. I'll read the little introduction now. The Sherpas and the Tibetans live in the Himalaya, sometimes called the Himalayas, the highest mountains in the world, where peaks are covered with snow and ice all year long. These people build their homes out of rock, wood, and earth. When the air outside is below freezing, they light fires inside to keep themselves warm. They use large, shaggy animals called yaks to carry such goods as tea and salt over the mountains to trade with each other. By trading together, both the Sherpas and the Tibetans can have what they need to live comfortably. Even gifts like turquoise and carpets are sometimes traded among them. But this ancient way of life is disappearing. New roads and trucks in the lowlands below the high peaks have taken the place of the old trade routes and yaks in the mountains. Although the Sherpas and the Tibetans may appear different from us, and by us, they, I think, mean people like me who live in New York City and other places where there's big cities and lots of machines and big grocery stores and things. While it may appear different, we all share the same feelings and basic needs. We really are all alike, no matter where we live. We all belong to the same family, the human family, and every time a culture disappears, we lose a part of ourselves. Because of this, perhaps we should take a look at life in the Himalaya before it vanishes forever. I would like to believe that it doesn't have to vanish, and that the people there can preserve it, even as if some aspects of their life modernize, which in some way there may be things that they would like to change, and other things that they would like to remain. And so hopefully they can do that, and maybe we as a global community can help support them in doing that. So that was Vanishing Cultures, Himalaya, by Jan Reynolds. And this is EDU Kids Space. Subscribe for more stories, books, and lessons. Hit the bell button so you're notified when I put out new videos. My name is Ian. You can support the authors by buying this book via the link in the video description, if I can find a good link for it online. And you can support this channel and me, because I don't make any money from this channel, by hitting the Patreon link in the video description. Okay, thank you for watching. Enjoy more of these amazing books. And if you are from the Himalayas, or the Himalaya Mountains, and have any thoughts on this book or my reading, please reach out to me. And in general, if there's anything you'd like to hear about, you can send me a message on the channel or at edukidspace@gmail.com. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.